Start recording. Okay,
Nice
we're
catch.
recording. And so, hey
Welcome
everybody,
to
we're gonna
Eden.
we're gonna pop back into conversation here in a second. But we were doing some just chit chat about um, the need of defined roles and responsibilities, perhaps, and just ways to become more efficient with some of the things that are required within Eden. And if we can, try to remove some of the gray area between who is doing what, which then just leads to inaction. So that's where we are. And maybe this video will get posted, in which case this is worthwhile. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. Hey. Yeah. So where were we?
Right there.
That's where we ended off.
We got Chris coming in. I don't know which Chris this is now. Maybe it's your doppelganger.
It's possible. It's got a sweet name. I mean, there's a few of us. It's not like it's an overly uncommon name.
Yeah,
Is Lovejoy your real last name? Because it seems like it should be fake because it's such a great last name.
I know, right? It's like, yeah, it's actually really interesting. Yeah, it's my real last name, and generations and generations of Lovejoys have come before me. Waxa here.
Oh, it's
Chris.
Waxa. Ah, yeah. He's a guy. He's a British guy, but it's late for him, and he might have his. How old's your 15-month-old? The baby. No, younger. It's younger. You have like a young baby. 12 weeks. It was weeks. Yeah. So he can't talk, but he types. Waxa seems like a good dude.
Congratulations and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Well,
Yeah.
not today, but this maybe if you see it tomorrow,
Depending on your
the
time
recording, Father's Day weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so as it relates to Eden and becoming more efficient, like as I understand, Dominic is trying to run these elections essentially. He's been sort of charged with the responsibility of organizing the next election. He did the first one. He's doing the next one. But is there like a communications, like we were talking about before we hit record, about the videos so far that we've captured? So we did 2 open mic nights so far. We've done 1 podcast, and we've done 1 webinar from John Williamson on governance last week. So those videos are still we have them. They just haven't been posted. So I guess the question was, how do we get them up? I bet you Mark Shearer would just throw them on his website or in his YouTube channel without issue. But do we want to have them concentrated on a branded Eden channel? And that's...
I think it makes sense. I just wouldn't feel comfortable unilaterally doing that personally, but I mean, I have the keys to the channel. I think we need some, like a quorum kind of to like decide that that's, the way that we want to go. Especially since I think a lot of these videos aren't just open to Eden members, which is kind of part of the main problem that I see. As far as using the Eden on EOS, channel for like an open forum. So maybe we could create a different YouTube channel that is kind of like, meant for more open, discussion among anyone that's interested instead of just Eden members.
Well, Mark just hopped in. I think the actual channel is kind of irrelevant. And to those who want to watch it, I don't think they really care on whose channel. Hey, Mark, I don't think they care on whose channel they're watching it on. They just want to be able to see it.
Right.
So maybe if Eden, quote unquote, doesn't care, and I don't think why they would, because they're not paying to get these made. Like, we're just doing these. So, Mark, we're saying we haven't put any of these videos up because you were PMing me here before you joined, and because we haven't put these up, we were just talking like, where do we put them? And I'm wondering if maybe we just put them on your YouTube channel if you don't have a problem with that, because you've already taken the time to put up all the other ones. If we got you the videos, could you upload them to your channel for the 2 open mics, Dom and my podcast, and then the previous webinar, and then today's stuff? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'd love
like
that. Yeah, that'd be great. It doesn't take much time for me to do it all, and I'm kind of organizing a little bit here and there. ultimately I'm neutral, but I would like to keep building that. I'm making videos tonight, little minute, 2 minute, 3 minute snippets of a handful of items that I'm very interested in, that capture an idea. So in other words, I've streamlined it sufficiently to be able to enjoy putting these items together. So I would just simply have a playlist, maybe multiple playlists that would compartment what you're talking about.
Perfect.
Could you create like a separate thing, like Eden Unofficial or something? So it's like clear that it's not.
Oh,
That's the main thing I think we should try to avoid, is like the idea that we're that these videos are somehow like representative of like an official Eden.
sure.
But it'd be no different than the original videos that are up on IPFS. I mean, the videos are just, I mean, like, so from the first election, for example, right? Those aren't official election videos. Right. But they are.
Well, no, but that was an officially hosted event. I mean, like insofar as the word official, like even has any meaning here right now. But
yeah,
it was like an Eden sanctioned event,
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like basically what we're talking about is, you got like a training, like all these different portals to put people. And the perfect example is the official EOS webpage has only just now gotten launched 6 months ago or 2 months ago. So Brandon's working toward basically organizing that, to the core. So as far as my channel goes, Brandon, to answer your question, yes, absolutely. I'll fold in with what makes sense. We'll use the nomenclature that we decide on to branch me off into a place that's obviously, let's just say, quote, unofficial, or, into a place of a community so-and-so. And hopefully be able to convey that every time people get routed to, say, my channel versus maybe the main structures that are evolving right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's good enough for now, until we reach some sort of quorum around.
It just needs to be temporary. I don't think, and even they could be moved later, right? We could, and if we needed to, we'd delete them. Like, I'm sure, Mark, you'd also wouldn't care if we deleted them if they ended up being housed in a more official location. I just don't like the idea that these videos we're putting the time in to do these, and there's people who are asked. Like, I've been asked for people who want to see them, and I can't put them up yet because we're in this gray zone of indecision.
Have you talked to Dominic about what his thoughts on this?
Yeah, he said he was trying to figure out who had the keys to the account, the official YouTube account, and he was working on that. But to your point,
sure, it's Annabella. I get the feeling it's Annabella. She's recently launched 2 items or 3 items that spoke her language. And I said, oh, okay, they're organizing their own Eden YouTube channel.
So I have the keys to the Eden YouTube channel, the Eden on EOS channel. That's the only thing I have keys for. And then like the Twitter and other stuff, that's all kind of being held rather tightly by the Clarion team, essentially, because they don't want that stuff to just get out of control and random content, like start being posted on all those channels, because we don't have any kind of real Eden government yet. You know what I mean? Like, and so I understand the hesitancy to just start like firing off all this content without like a clear plan for like, I think it'd be just nice to, like, this is all great. I'm glad that all these discussions are happening. And I think they should be posted somewhere. I just think maybe we should just keep those channels clean until we have some sort of consensus that like it's time to put stuff there.
Yeah.
But
so, I think that makes sense then. We could just temporarily, and we'll just mark them accordingly, unofficial I mean, I've tried super hard, and any chance I get to talk, I am not the official Satoshi, like, right? So we just make it as clear as we can, and people can take it for what it's worth. And but at least people who care, and there's a few that seem to, which is great, they can listen in now instead of waiting. And then later on, if we want to move it to a more official account, we'll just transition them over, delete them from that YouTube, because we're not doing this for views. This isn't like to make some dough on YouTube monetization. It's just to get the videos out.
Right.
So, okay.
I want to chime on this from a community development standpoint, because I have some experience from it. I ran an experiment at the beginning of this year in Q1 for the entire quarter, where at the beginning of January, I was hosting like 4 or 5 Zoom meetings a day on average in a beta testing community. And at the time, we were using a third-party software called Mighty Networks. It's extremely basic, but there's some features of it that are kind of cool. Like from a design standpoint, one thing that I like about it is if you have a group or a course and you go into that group or course inside of the network, it's sort of the header and the sidebar changes where it has a little bit of a feel like its own website. The menu items change, and some of the aesthetics can change, like logos and colors and stuff. But aside from the aesthetics, what I did to make the community come to life was I did all these meetings, and then every night I posted all the recordings. And so various people would jump on, and I would, at the time, Mighty Networks didn't have native video. And so I would put them on Vimeo, and then I would just post the Vimeo links. And so I just did that like clockwork for 3 months, and it created a lot of, just made the community come to life, which is what's happening with all of these meetings at this time. And there needs to be a lot more discussion and a lot more meetings, and people have to get more acquainted and express their ideas. And there's so many different focus groups, and it makes sense that maybe there's not a consensus as far as the brand Eden on EOS of where that stuff should go. But from a community engagement standpoint, things are kind of all over the place at the moment. Mm-hmm. And we really do need people need the ability to create Zoom events, and they go on the calendar, and you click on the calendar and you go to the Zoom link on the calendar, or it integrates with your iCalendar or your Google Calendar, like very basic features. Maybe everyone's not able to create an event, but at least certain types of people. And the recording should just be posted like clockwork in a location where people can find them, and they're kind of organized and tagged in a certain way, but without feeling like, hey, this is the EOS official brand, or this is the Eden official brand, or anything like that. I've got some specific ideas around it. I don't want to talk about them in this recording. I just don't think it's appropriate to use the time and the airspace for that. But what the main reason I'm bringing it up is the act of constantly having these various Zoom meetings and posting the recordings is extremely valuable from a community engagement standpoint. And sometimes it's not even about what's being said, like the surface level conversation. It's really just holding space and letting our bodies and brains synchronize and connect. And they have a conversation on that level, and then they kind of tell us what to do next. It just keeps the energy going, the next steps, all of that. And it's kind of awesome for it to be done in real time with visibility of the community, for them to see this unfolding, whether that stuff is archived forever or whether it's like some kind of hidden or scrapped or whatever later on. There's some magic to the machine just churning for those who have the interest and the energy and stuff like that.
I'm sold. That's a great idea. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, great idea.
Totally
but
agree.
it's all about momentum also, because now we are still in traction with Eden. There is very few people that are engaging, to be honest. That's my point of view. Maybe it's not your point of view, but as I see today, I was doing initiatively, Josh were in a call with me, Randall Roland were in a call with me. We are 5 with me. I take the initiative. I am the first to take the initiative to do beside Chris or beside Brandon or Dominic. I was doing that. I have the ball to do. I was doing that. Josh was joining spontaneously, but we were just five guys discussing, and yeah, that's need more traction. That's need more also explanation in layman terms. What is hidden? Because us, we know what it is because we are in each and every day. For someone totally new, that has to be very clear, like water. That has to be very nicely said and simple, not simply said, but with a language very nice. So, and after that, we can do what we want. We can do a channel with nice video. We can do, as you said, Josh, structured Zoom calls and all this stuff. But we have the tools. That's not the problem. That's more a problem now of alignment. When I saw the message in EOS Gov today, I have read each message of Chris. That was very interesting, insightful in many ways. I say. I saw also Brandon engaging in EOS Gov. So all that to answer.
Let's not talk about EOS Gov today. I think we should.
Yeah, that was, sorry to say, that was a bullshit discussion.
Like I said, let's not talk.
When I was reading that was totally bullshit. No giraffe ears, just answering to the other like a ping pong. That was totally bullshit. There was just some message very value added about Eden. The rest, that was just a war. The World War III or something like that.
Right.
That was not hidden. That was not the non-violent communication. That was very aggressive. So, and I am not able to engage there.
That's probably a wise choice, Patrick.
The spam bot, yeah.
You made the right choice. I mean, in the end, it was it kept me up till 2:30 a.m. I don't know about you, Brent. You were pretty late too, I think. So.
And I am not banned by the spam bot because I am aggressive. I am banned by the spam bot because there are some people in the community that have shitted on me, and now I cannot engage anymore in public channel. But I am very happy. I am in the channel where I have to be, hopefully. Yeah. So I just reading what you said, and not only Chris, Brandon, also each and everyone. And I understand sometimes it's difficult to be totally censorship resistant. Sometimes we have to ban. Sometimes we have to use our admin role. I am only admin in Bullish Telegram. If I have to ban someone, I will ban it. I have the balls. If it's come always with the same narrative, with the same bad discussion, I will ban. But to come back to the point, if Eden has more traction, positivity, because now the people are disappointed about a lot of things that are totally disaligned. About the price, they don't understand when bullish will come. For me, it's already coming. Bullish is already since 2018. I am bullish, so I don't wait on a bullish global. It's block one, and Eden now is coming. Some people are not understanding why Eden is coming because Dan was already there before. So why now we have Eden? It's difficult to convince, and I don't like to convince. We have to be a very simple term. What is Eden? What is EOS? What is EOS.io? Very simple education. It's all about education. And when all will be aligned, maybe there are people that will be disappointed or maybe not. They will go. That's life. They will go. And at the end, I don't want to have only 3, 4, 5, 6 people interested. It would be nice to have the people aligned. So that's my stance.
Well said.
For
today. Your stance is you're welcome to change your stance. Certainly. Anyway, okay. So I'm thinking, I'm fairly action oriented and focused on doing. So some doing that I think we pulled out of this is that short term we should post these videos on Mark Shear's account, flagged as being unofficial, and we'll just get them up so at least they're there. And if we need to move them later, we can. We've got enough people here. We can do this. Is quorum enough for me? Everyone agree with that?
There is already a channel Eden EOS.
Okay, so Mark, I'll get you the videos up to date because I think Dom has sent me he did Zoom for the first ones, and then I've got the last one was a webinar. So I'll get you all those videos, and then if you're okay to upload them, then we'll go from there. And I'll make a note.
That should be at my opinion, that should be posted on an account that is official representing Eden. If it is posted on a channel like my channel, for example,
you're making this harder.
Channel,
we just said we can't.
That will be totally sorry.
No. We agree that's what has to happen. It's just that we've been waiting for that to happen, and then so far nothing's been posted because we don't have quorum.
Okay, so post on my channel if you want.
That's what we're saying, and we're going to put it on Mark's.
300 guests on my channel.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I just figured Mark's already got all the election videos up, so it fits nicely with what he already has there. So to throw these in the back end of the same type of playlist seems like cozy. And then later, when we have an official direction, then we can move. I think we should migrate, like Brandon, what you're saying. Eventually, we'll migrate them to a more official account. But you raise an interesting point, Patrick, and I think Josh, you said it too, in that we're not doing a good job. And when I say we, there's no finger pointing, just generally. A good job has not been done probably to really help people understand where they should go for information, and like where is there a nice FAQ that has like the bulleted answers to questions that are common.
Yeah,
we need one of those.
Go.
Yeah. It's a bit like someone's throwing a party, but you show up at the party with and the fridge is stocked, but no one's put any food out, and there's like dishes in the cupboards, but no one's taken any dishes out of the cupboards, and like no one at the party that is even hosting the party has said like yeah, go ahead and set the table and make a meal, like, you know, start cooking whatever you want. Like there's no sense of like how that this group that is kind of a structureless, you know, early member, pre-official election group should conduct itself. And so I think that's where there's a lot of confusion among people that are not like sure how to engage or where they can engage or who they could talk to get more information about X, Y, and Z. And then, you know, like the Clarion team is doing a great job building out the technical infrastructure, and for sure, like, you know, the Notion stuff that Mike Manfredi has made is wonderful. And I mean, if anything, like in some ways it was probably my, you know, perceived role to help do like video and content and stuff like that. But there's no, like, Dan doesn't want to be a dictator, and he doesn't want to say like, this is how it's going down, you know? And I think, but that's also partly a problem, because in the absence of any, you know, leadership, there's just...
The problem is since 2018, there are many people in this community. Each is open to do what he wants. If someone wants to do a nice video or a nice education, he can do. He can speak in English like me, like Q. I don't care.
But you can't represent somebody else, though. The problem is you can do what you want, but the issue we're having here is we need to be able to represent Eden, and Eden is not something that anybody can just.
Sorry.
What do you mean? But you can't represent Eden, Patrick. Neither, just like I can't. That's the problem. So who is the representative of this thing that has no? It's not a thing.
There is a need to have someone official in that, because it is an open community. It is an everyone open society. So you are open to do what you want to do with your best intent. If you rely, sorry to say that, okay, I will say what I think. It's not the truth. It's what I think. Okay, it's not the truth. Okay, or maybe in one month that will be false. In 1 month, maybe that will be false. Okay, so I say what I feel now. Okay, what I feel really in my heart. Okay, so not with my brain. Inside, before to think outside. So inside, as I think, you have to do what with your heart the things. Then you do with your soul. And then you do with your mind. So that has to begin here in the art. If you are doing with your art and your balls, but not bad balls, strong balls, diamond balls, you are doing all the best. You are pushing your shit, okay? I am pushing my shit, okay? I am pushing my promotional videos. By doing promotional videos, at the same time, that's give educational videos. 1 + 1 = 3, okay? So I do that. Maybe there are some people, they will think he's crazy, this guy, he is doing this promotional video about space, a ship, a starship. They don't understand anything. Okay, I don't care. I do. Chris, you do what you want, what you have to do.
Right.
Brendan, you are fantastic. You have to do what you have to.
That's not what we're talking about, though, Patrick. Like the thing is, it's not
No,
what we want to do.
Let me come to the point.
Okay.
At the end, we are able to do what we want to get, each one of us.
Yeah.
But to decide now who is responsible to do this, who is responsible to do that, maybe one day the guy that is responsible to do the videos, he has problem with his wife, or problem with if he's a cat, or problem with his children. He has no time to post the videos. So if you rely on the guys to do something, and I speak by experience. Because since 2018, like you, Chris, okay, I am in this each and every day. Now it's 3 a.m. in my morning here. So I am each and every day, and I am doing education, and I am alone. I am not a team. I am alone.
Yeah.
So, but it's my decision.
But that's
it's not
Patrick,
the decision of someone else. But I don't rely on someone else, because you cannot have the how did you say that? You cannot have the proof that he will do. Maybe he has an impeachment, he will not be able to do.
Yeah.
And it's fine. That's life.
I gotta cut you off. Yeah, I need you to be mindful of your duration of speech, because you're very passionate, and I appreciate that, but we want to give lots of people chances to talk. But I think you're slightly off topic, because we're talking about the concern. It's not about the individuals not having the capacity or the ability to do things. It's
not capacity, it's time.
It's not time. That's not what I'm talking about either. We're talking about who is able to represent Eden. And because Eden is
you need time.
I know you're going to say everybody represents Eden, but that's not what I mean. It's because Eden is its own thing. It's its own entity. It has its own set of rules. They're not Patrick's rules. They're not my rules. They're not anybody. Eden has rules. So we need to represent that as its own thing. But there is no Eden company. There's no CEO of Eden, like
I know.
And that's our challenge, right? That's the problem we're trying to solve for, is who then takes responsibility for some of these pieces when they're not our pieces to take responsibility for necessarily. So we're going to do our best, but there's this gray area where, well, who's doing that? And is this you? Is this me? And because we're representing something else that isn't just us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The last time I asked it to you, Chris, who has the ownership of Eden? Who has the ownership of Eden? And the answer to that, the answer to that is no one.
You're being too hoggy.
Because it is totally decentralized.
Dude, you have to let other people talk. It's not fair if you are always talking, and Josh would like to speak, and so you have to be respectful. I know it's late, and we get tired sometimes. We forget something. So, Josh, go ahead.
So, just for the other people here who aren't on video, or who, if they do watch the replay, I want to try to summarize the issue that we're talking about. So there's when the first official election is eventually held, and there's no actual timeline for when that's going to be. Tentatively, it's when there's 1,000 members, but there's no actual date of when that's going to happen. At that point, that will decide who is sort of steering the ship for that phase of what's happening. And there are these official communication channels that there's no consensus or top down, or there's no bottom up or top down consensus as far as Brandon is saying about how these are going to be used. But we do need to continue to discuss things amongst ourselves in the EOS community, and if that involves people who are passionate about the Eden project, and among people who've been inducted as members, I think that's great. But the issue is we can't necessarily, without some kind of a democratic mandate one way or another, bottom up, top down, we can't just post that stuff on the Eden on EOS channels. is basically the issue. And so how would we decide, and so it's like in a citizenship standpoint, we're kind of stateless to some degree. It's a chaotic organization at the moment, a little more on the chaos side of things, which is not a problem, but we just have to kind of recognize it and respect it. So as individuals, it's kind of like a ragtag Mighty Ducks or Bad News Bears kind of situation right now. We just got to do what we can with what we've got. And I think it's cool, like Brandon, I think it's cool that you have the keys and you're saying like, oh, I'm not just going to give over the keys with that, like unilaterally without some kind of a consensus. That makes a lot of sense. Did I miss anything? Just kind of summarizing the topic.
Sounds right to me.
No, except that it's worth noting also for posterity's sake that we're just about at 100 members. We have 98 members once all the pending invites are in. So we're getting real close to 100, but we're going to need to 10x that in order to get to the point where we can hold a meaningful sort of election. I feel like I'm just going to propose, not just here, but maybe in the Eden members group, that I'm just going to test the waters and see if people have an appetite to form some sort of interim working group. You don't even have to call it a government. You can just say an interim Eden members only working group. And that way, anyone that wants to participate in communications or development or whatever, and then we just need to have a clear understanding among us that we're not making any sort of binding decisions on behalf of the Eden community, because we don't really have that kind of authority, because we haven't had an election. We're just kind of a mass of people. But I think it would be of benefit, like personally, I can imagine getting together with 100 of my good friends and just coming up with a working plan that could discussing what's important and what roles kind of need to be filled temporarily while we stand this thing up until we reach the 1,000 and we can have a more official election process. It's kind of like there's going to be we can't go on like this until 1,000, I don't think, with this much uncertainty about how people can contribute and how to direct those contributions in ways that would be well spent, I guess.
Is there any place at the moment you guys are aware of where Eden members only can communicate?
Josh, are you not in there? I've been trying to add people.
I know I've dropped the ball and have not been adding a few people. I need to do that.
I'm going to try to add you right now.
I'm going to put it on my list. There is, Josh, to answer your question, there is a Telegram group that's invite only that is for people who've been officially inducted.
Oh, okay. Maybe we could use that channel or group to, maybe we could use the Eden process, for some of this stuff. It doesn't have to just apply to what are you going to do with the funds.
Yep.
But it would be with the understanding, the preface that you mentioned, like this is just an interim thing for now.
Yeah, at least a way to document all the considerations that were, I know you and other people have been talking about, knowledge bases that could be used and different platforms to facilitate communication and coordination. I would be, hesitant to say that we should commit to any particular platform unless there's just such overwhelming support from some sort of working group that thinks it's wise to do so. But there are things like that, or at least documentation that can be made, just so we all kind of understand who's where, who's doing what, whatever the ad hoc roles that are currently existing are. like without overstepping, our, limited role. Josh, I just added you to the Eden members group though.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone that's, if you invite anyone to Eden and they're, make sure you invite them to the Eden members group. This is another perfect example. Early on, I brought up, should we, make sure we're inviting everyone to the Eden members group, because it was the first group that was created in Telegram during the when the Genesis group was formed. And then, a few people got added, but there was no clear agreement that we should just like make sure all Eden members were in that group. And then very recently, Dominic brought it back up again. And since, he was the first person to like kind of second my idea to make sure everyone is in at least one group, like an Eden members official only group. And so ever since then, there's no way for me to get like buy-in that's the plan, from the group. But so far, that's just what we're doing. It's like, well, now I just decided, fuck it, I'm just like inviting all the members to that group because we don't have any other place where that's happening. So
we can just do pools in there, or poll, POL. Yeah, we can do polls in there with the official Eden group. So that's how we can ask questions at least.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty close. I gotta step away from my computer for 1 second, so I'll let you guys do your thing. I'll just be 1 minute.
All right, let's talk about Chris.
Before to come today, at 3 a.m. in the morning, I was thinking to something. We are all discussing in Telegram, and we know that Telegram is a place very complicated. So, and I was thinking how we can improve that, because all the communication is going through Telegram. We are posting our things on Telegram majority of the time. So what I was thinking is to have some filtering onboarding process, because to be inducted into Eden, you have to do a peace treaty of 1 page and say, I have read and understood and I agree by the rules. Okay, very easy. Anyone can do that. Okay, and maybe after you have made some garbage on the people that you have accepted. So that could be nice if in Telegram we have a kind of filtering already at the entry, and the prerequisite, the requirement could be first that people understand what is minimal, what is EOS. EOS.io, maybe very simple understanding after to explain better, but at least they have to understand if they want to onboard into EOS. After that, they can onboard on Eden, because Eden is on EOS. For the moment, Eden is on EOS, not on other blockchain. So if you want to be in Eden, you have also to understand something about this ecosystem, EOS. So if you are going through Telegram and there are some filtering process, I don't say dictatorship, I say some process of filtering that could be done by a smart contract or a bot, a Telegram bot, something like that. John Boyd, he has created a Telegram bot for EOSPowerUp.io. Nice. We can have CPU in our EOS account. So that would be not so complicated, I say, for a developer to create a kind of bot that will do some filtering in Telegram. Because that's a platform, very nice. Telegram is nice. It's a cool tool. But the problem is the people that are entering in. And we have to do some filtering. That's my opinion. So that's my proposal, for example, to have a better onboarding process at the end on Eden, and to maximize the chance to have good people in. That's my proposal.
But doesn't the fact that we are inviting, it's like invite only, isn't that like a huge enough filter already? I mean, are you talking about filtering membership, or are you talking about filtering people that enter into like a particular channel on Telegram?
I want to filter the people that at the end will enter into Eden. And to enter into Eden is very easy currently. You just have to find someone that I will invite you, and you can be totally saying lies. You can do what you want. It's very easy to enter. You can say, I agree all, and it is not the truth. So to maximize the onboarding process, I think we have to filter some communication in Telegram first, because that's since 2018 that it is like that, before Eden already. And now we have Eden. We want something better. So Telegram has also to be a place where it is filtered. As I said, John Eater, he was able to create this EOSPowerUp.io Telegram bot for CPU. So another developer will be able to create a Telegram bot to manage better the communication into Telegram. Because all our communication, as today, for example, I am aware that there is a call now because Chris was posting in Telegram. Okay, so just that.
Well, Clarion is coming up the pike, so whatever we do now for communication is interim, because I believe the intention is to use Clarion for the community to adopt that as the communication platform, similar as EOS being the currency. But it's going to be a while, right? So there does need to be some kind of interim solution.
Exactly.
I've already got an impersonator on Telegram in the last week or so, which I was surprised.
Wow.
And
it's basically an honor. That means you've crossed the threshold of importance. So
I don't even have an impersonator that I know of. So
same.
Good job.
Well, it is a real issue that's plaguing Telegram. You know, like a use case for Clarion, but it's a problem inviting people who maybe don't use. I mean, I don't know how many people familiar with EOS don't use Telegram, but if you're not a little more aware, people are getting duped all of the time.
Telegram is a terrible communication platform, in my opinion.
And we have a responsibility, knowing that for our community or people that we invite, like kind of staking our reputation on some things, and then it's like what are you doing, filling my life with all of this spam and scammers.
Yeah, the platform is not the problem.
Telegram.
You can use Slack. You can use Clarion communicate, maximally decentralized communication platform is still not there. Okay, you can use whatever tool you want. You have to filter the communication, and it's not about to be a dictatorial. It's not to be a ban guy. You just have to have some prerequisite if you want to enter into the EOS ecosystem, because Eden is on EOS. So the guys that enter into this ecosystem, they have to understand a little bit before that we educate them, and to show some skin in the game, showing that they are interested to onboard, and not say that the day when there is the induction process and just to answer, yes, I have read, yes, I have understood. It's very easy to do that. It's very easy. Okay, and I know that you are here because you believe in EOS. It's clear. I don't speak of you. I speak of other people totally externalized. Now I can go in my city, in my town, tomorrow, and I say there is a beautiful thing now coming. It's Eden on EOS. I have the guys, I have the people, but they don't have any clue about EOS. So the first things to do is to explain a little bit what is Eden, what is EOS, sorry. And after that, like that, we have some filtering process before to go in Eden on EOS. Imagine the day when Eden is not on EOS and it is on another ecosystem, because Eden is not only for EOS, it would be for something else. So.
I posted something in the the Eden on EOS Telegram today. It's an idea from another member. I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Randall, but it might have been someone else. It was the idea of, again, using like these Zoom meetings, like maybe every week or bi-weekly, there could be some kind of a meeting where we use it. I don't want our thing to become like this, but there is something to like these network marketing and online marketing systems, like the machines. And I don't think we should make a lot of the same mistakes that they make, but to have a place where we can just like you let the tool do the talking, so to speak, in marketing, rather than letting individuals who have their own perceptions represent a company or a group or that kind of a thing. The company or the group develops tools, and then the training, so to speak, among the members or affiliates or whatever is just plug them into the system, and these tools do the talking. And one of those tools could be a formal introduction meeting. And that was my original idea. But then another member had mentioned something like, well, what if we use the Eden political playoff process, like an adapted basic version of it, to get to know members and mix Eden members who may have to witness or vouch for someone with people who are prospective members, and and almost in a small way demonstrate how it works, the power of it, but in the process be getting to know, getting acquainted with these people. And maybe the filtering process is just not so easily saying yes and so easily witnessing someone. And I think there's some debate about that among the community. I've heard comments about it, keeping it very open and inclusive. And then I've heard comments about like, we have to be wary of how easily someone can join, because it's easier to exclude them in the beginning than to then remove them from the organization later. And I think there's a lot of examples of that in other organizations where things are selection based, and it's just easier not to make a bad selection in the beginning because it's difficult to change it.
Hey guys, so we're an hour in, and I think this is a much better use of this time to talk about how do we improve Eden communication and process. I think instead of what the original plan, where else can we do Eden elections? Because we could do that another time. Let's get good at the ones we're doing first. So top of mind, like what are things, if I was to make a list here, which I'm going to do, what do we need to do? If the bullet list of things that we can do or work on doing that improve things, like low-hanging fruit, like tomorrow that we could do. And by we, like I, whoever. So we need to post the videos that we recorded so far. That's low-hanging fruit. That's easy. What else do we need? Like, is there a deficit in a clearly explained central source of truth? Like, do we need to point people to Notion more? Like, do we need to have more pinned messages and put that out there more often?
I do think that Notion, because that is like the only knowledge base that we currently have, that we should be leveraging that a little bit more.
Okay. What about a place to aggregate questions? Because I feel like we're getting a lot of questions, and there's no FAQ that I've seen being drafted or created. So maybe do we put up a forum post on the EOS community forums and say, if you have questions that you just don't know the answers to, put them here? Or what do you guys think?
EOScommunity.org would be great. A forum there.
That's the place.
Fact on Eden.
Right. I guess he's asking where to gather the questions.
In the chats or wherever these questions are coming up, you just go to eoscommunity.org. You create the post. Copy the link, or you find the post, or you remember where it was or whatever, and you paste it into the Telegram or wherever you heard the question asked. There aren't that many of those. And the main lines etch themselves out quickly. So, for example, you could use the small pieces that we have. One is Eden on EOS channel. That's a main distribution spot.
So
the problem is not to create a forum on eoscommunity.org or on edenos.org.
There is a FAQ on edeneos.org.
There is,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And I'm not saying it can't be improved, but there is one there. And
well, maybe we should leverage it. Like if there's one there, then the question is how do we edit it and who has that access? And maybe if we can.
Yeah, but
well, Brandon Fancher is like the one that's mainly behind the website, as far as I know. So we just need to, you know, get a handful of people that want to improve. You know, make it. Someone should make it their job, you know, to work on the FAQ, and then we'll start.
Hey, that's right, Brandon. Thank you. +1 on that. If somebody just basically starts at FAQ and works Brandon Fancher, just send him a link. Say, hey, here's an FAQ. You're done. It take you 2 to 5 minutes a week.
yeah, but sorry to say something again, maybe that you will not like. Sorry, you can do wherever you want the forum thing. After that, you have to communicate that. So if you communicate that in Telegram, there is one chance on one that you will have a garbage discussion in Telegram because the people are accustomed to go there and to say all what they want. After that, you have a big convo, and it's very difficult to manage. So maybe Telegram, I don't know. It's
well, my opinion at the moment is that if people want to contribute to the anything to do with the website, they should probably have an account on GitHub.
Yeah.
And they should just start using GitHub and submit requests on the Eden GitHub account, and just start engaging, because the developers are all there. And if you want to add anything to the website, you just need to start communicating with the developers where they're at, and they're all using GitHub. So
great, Brandon. You think they could roll the calendar in? Basically, I'll do that. I'll work toward that. I'll work toward getting an account on GitHub and understanding it.
Yeah.
And then submitting that calendar, and then washing my hands and proving that out, because that's right. It should go through that channel and right into the Eden EOS site that Brandon already has an FAQ. I saw it just now. It's beautiful. It's perfect. The FAQ job is done.
It's just keeping it updated. So that's perfect. I didn't know that was there, and that's I should have known probably. But so the key is to just then, as we see more questions, which we see lots of, to get them into that FAQ. So what you're saying, Brandon, makes a lot of sense. Use GitHub as a way to post these questions with a potential answer or an open-ended question. Can someone answer this, I suppose? Because a lot of them, I think, the group here that's paying attention, we know a lot of these answers already. Maybe we need to make sure they're vetted and appropriate answers, and we don't want to make it too arduous to try to, put info up. But so at a minimum, though, we should use GitHub to try to at least put up extra questions. That's the solution. It makes sense. I have no idea how to. When you say, Mark, you need to figure out GitHub, I'm with you on that path. I will also need to figure out how to do. It can't be that hard. Although devs are pretty smart. Give you credit.
Definitely sounds practical, Brandon. Never would have thought of it, I guess. So yeah, work into the workflow, because those guys got the real deal. I mean, they're building out the infrastructure we're all asking for. It's already there, and we just need to roll into that workflow. So yeah, I'll prove it out with the calendar for sure. Chris, you're same boat, and then same with videos and all that stuff pretty much down the line, I'm sure. But we'll see how the calendar and a few other things go, and the FAQ might be a nice, anyway, something to get some confidence and some workflow going on. And then it's just rhythm from then on, but they got the good infrastructure all ready to go. So that's awesome.
Yeah, GitHub's a little clumsy for non-developers, but I feel like it's probably a smarter move for us to adapt to them where they're at currently, and until later we have something that's more kind of robust.
Yeah,
you can
and
still.
It's less complicated than Keybase. Keybase is for the developer. Keybase. So GitHub is accessible for non-developer also. If you are eager to join, you will do all what you have to do to join. So that's a good incentivizing mechanism for the people that really want to join. They will search how to go with GitHub, and GitHub is not so complicated. So that's a good channel.
So, do you mind if I interject here and see if Elias wants to introduce himself? Because he's back now and hasn't said anything yet. So.
Elias is a regular now. How's it going, Elias? We go way
Hey,
back.
Chris.
It's been like a week.
Yeah, I introduced myself last week. And definitely I know most of the names here. Mark, I've talked with before, and Chris and the whole gang, Patrick last week. So yeah, you'll see me around. I need to get my introduction in, and I'm gonna time this to be 100th, I'm hoping. So I'll probably post it in the hour or so.
And so on the topic of information and accessibility, since you're new and an aspiring member, do you have any comments about holes you see and you know, good or bad feedback is open, because we're trying to just get better at this whole process, so you might have a good perspective.
Totally.
So if you see me on Twitter, I've said some things about Eden when I thought it was a little bit more, because I did not know the process, and I was like, why, you know, with Red Kit, I was like, this is kind of a insider's thing.
What's your Twitter, if you don't mind?
EOS voters.
Okay.
And yeah, it's not much, but I just mentioned that. I was like, it's hard to get in there. It's hard to find edenos.org. I don't know how I ended up finding it, because it took a while. Patrick, twice I saw your post from your forum, and then I ended up last week's meeting and then this week's meeting too. So I'm just kind of, you know, I keep banging my head. So it's not that easy to discover. I've got to say that. You are on EOS community, which is nice, but it's not easy to get into this meeting or to get to the introduction meeting too.
So is that from your interactions in Twitter? Like, do you think, is there a deficiency in Twitter engagement, maybe with some links or information? Would you prefer to see info, like answers to stuff in Twitter that explain things, or just links that remind you where to go?
So that EdenOS is a wonderful website, and you know that I'm looking at the website, and if somebody gets that website, get involved, and it sends them right to the forums, essentially, right? That's where step number one should be. Getting there, I think, is probably the tricky part.
Okay.
How does one get to EdenOS and then back to the forums and then introduce themselves, you know?
So we could do
like, and I've been around, you know, I've been around on EOS, so I'm sure for a non-EOS person, it's not gonna click. Mm-hmm. And for a EOS non-developer, non-technical, you know, speculator, I wonder if they're gonna do it. Developers probably are gonna jump on here. So it's, yeah, I don't know where, so my path has been, you know, I still haven't joined, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little tricky. I definitely will though.
So do you think, so in terms of, you know, if we try to be solution oriented in sorts, do you think maybe just more Twitter engagement would have made your path easier if you were more easy, like if you found this website sooner, would that have helped?
Twitter, and we have, so the two places, so again, I saw this, I am on Edeno EOS group. I saw it on Patrick's group. EOS price, I don't know if you want that crowd initially, but they are wonderful, you know, promoters of EOS. By Red Kit, I don't know who that is, but I've seen them do so much promotion of EOS and the other people on there. So even where, you know, it's not even the external users, right? Even reaching EOS community, I think there's still some work to do there to get those people to convert into Eden members.
Okay.
Does that sound right, or?
Yeah, there's no wrong answer to that question, man. It's just your perspective, and
Yeah.
your perspective counts as good as anyone's. In fact, yours is an ideal one because you're someone who not only knows the system, like you're not new to EOS. So if you found it somewhat, there's a bit of friction in getting to here and getting invited, that means there's going to be a whole lot of friction for people who, like you say, aren't really into EOS. And if maybe is that part of what we're trying to do? I mean, that's a question in of itself. This is Eden on EOS, where the money's meant to be dedicated towards EOS. Do we want people who don't even know about EOS to join Eden? Are they going to care about EOS? I don't know. Maybe. If they join Eden, maybe they can learn to love EOS.
Yeah.
But that's
And
a
when
side topic.
should
It's a
they
side
join?
topic all the time.
Well, if they start off in these EOS Telegram groups, I don't know how short-lived their journey will be.
If they could keep up the dumpster fire of last night's chat, like, EOS Gov's a pretty dry channel, so I can't imagine that'd be their first place to go.
Yeah, there's just a lot of the narrative in the community really needs to change, and that's not. I mean, Eden will help with that, and it's, I guess, part of the responsibility over time. But that's also this is the same issue with the EOS community. What's the official communication channels, for EOS to the EOS community? The same thing. The Eden's same issue with Eden is same issue with EOS, as far as I can tell. But that new website seems to be helping, just like the Eden one.
One thing that when I heard you guys talking is, so you got all these different community, EOS communities, right? And the one thing that none of them have, unless you're a BP or an insider, is human interaction. So, that's an advantage that Eden has, that you don't get to talk like this. I don't think. I haven't talked like this to other people on EOS. But that is something that Eden brings to, that's different from the normal EOS communities.
100, yeah, well, that's what's so cool about Eden, right? Is we're trying to actually create human connections here that go beyond, and connections between regular people. Like, I mean, we do have Eves on, so we've now stepped to the next realm of OGs in the space, and Brandon's got a pretty good following. Patrick, you do a lot too. I think the rest of us are all fairly new faces in EOS, kind of, right? So, do you have Eves? Are you? I don't know if you're listening or whatever. Feel free if you want to jump in. You probably have some good insight just based on your. And I'm curious, Eves, if you are listening, if you have any thoughts on how we try to involve more of the Chinese community at all. It's probably way too soon because this is English focused, but it would be that's certainly a bridge we need to cross at some point in time.
I'm not sure I agreed with the decision to fractal off English community as a kind of pilot. As you guys see, there are very few people left in the EOS community in general, and then putting up a target of reaching 10,000 people or at least 1,000 people I think the original target was July 4th. Clearly that's a failure. Yeah. So setting too high of a target, I think, worked to your detriment, and then splitting off the community worked to your detriment. So even the people that were excited and joined that were from China and or Korea were essentially told that they would have to wait for their own. And you may have lost people that were willing to participate that are no longer going to want to participate. You're now hitting a wall where you're stuck with 84 people, which is, it's nice, but it's frankly laughable after a few months. Just being honest here, it's, you're kind of stuck in a chicken and egg situation where you don't have any funding, which is not conducive to invite people, and not conducive for people to want to dedicate some of their time. You do have hardcore people that have joined, but you're not going to form, there's not 10,000 hardcore people. The ship has sailed 3 years ago on that. Mm-hmm. And so now you're in a situation where you're not going to get funding because you don't have enough people, but you're not going to get enough people because you don't have funding. So how do you kind of bootstrap this thing? How do you essentially give it a catalyst shot or some kind of a shot, especially when you've fractaled off the communities and you've said no to the Spanish community, which is incredibly large, no to the Chinese community, which could fill 2 or 3 Edens by itself. I don't know. what you can do at this stage to kind of reinvigorate. People keep pointing to Eden on OS channel, which has 473 people. Many of those people are not eligible to join and or do not want to out themselves publicly. When you're creating barriers of entrance fees, that also removes people. To me, it seems like creating any type of barrier at this stage is counterproductive. You can see that, well, you all know before starting this, that the EOS community was already dead and or dying in that sense. It's definitely bleeding. And so adding any kind of barriers to entry, I think, was a terrible mistake. Having said that, what can you do to actually rectify that? Perhaps there's a means for you guys to start inducing people, non-English speakers, in some way, shape, or form. Materials that would be translated in Chinese and Korean, Spanish as well, would likely be welcome. Perhaps you set some kind of date to run the first one in English with maybe a lower number, but you also set a date to run, you know, the first Chinese one or first Korean one type of thing in the future. But that right now, those people feel like they can't belong. They can't be there until you're going to finish your pilot. But you're not going to finish your pilot because you're not achieving the numbers to have a viable election. So perhaps you open the gates, you open it to other communities, and you run multiple Edens at once within this pilot. That's not my call, but that way you might remove the barriers to those who might want to be or might be excited right now, but they won't be excited in 6 months when you guys are actually able to get other communities to join. I think funding is a key issue as well. So it's nice that Eden OS, I guess, Chris, you got the first 1,000 EOS. As far as I know, you're still in the process of giving that. That's more than a month ago. Those funds should have been given out right away, communicated right away, a little bit more marketing right away. So perhaps for this upcoming election, there can be a focus on materials already ready in the 3 official languages on EOS right away, right after, funds transferred right after. The recipients of the funds kind of agreeing informally to, you know, maybe get on Everything EOS show or, you know, doing a writer article. You need to be able to leverage communications. Right now, there's very little communications. It's very disjointed. Essentially, I think somebody was mentioning earlier, you need a project manager. You need centralization. This idea with decentralization works off, but what we've learned in the last couple of years, not just in EOS, is that starting decentralized and trying to centralize is extremely difficult. Starting centralized and decentralizing as one of your core mandates can take time, but it is way more efficient. And so perhaps it is time for those who are very much involved to just take the reins and just do it. Who cares what other people think? We've seen as a BP, as a EOS Nation, as our experiences, part of why we were in position is just because we showed up. Most people just don't show up. Just show up and just do work. And by default, you're going to be the person that gets responsibility because you're going to show up, you're going to work. So perhaps the people on this call anyways that are really excited about and really involved with the process, start doing it. And perhaps you actually ask for funding and you actually ask for Dan. Could you know, I'm willing to dedicate some time, but this is, you know, this does take me away from either my job or you know, other commitments or whatever. You know, can I get simple amount, tiny amount of money, and that might incentivize people, and just, you know, there's nothing wrong with incentivizing people with financials either. So perhaps the next 2,000 EOS is not for you know, a project or up for grabs. Maybe the idea is that it's actually for people on Eden to be able to work on Eden specifically. I don't know. You guys are running a really uphill battle because EOS is definitely not the most attractive community. It's an incredibly toxic community, as you saw last night, Chris and Brandon and anybody else who was in that channel. I think it's time for centralization. I think it's time for whoever's actually showing up to just do it. Don't worry about what these other naysayers are not showing up to work anyways. It doesn't matter. They're just here to put stickers in your wheels. Just go ahead and do what you think needs to be done. Don't ask permission. Ask for forgiveness later. Yeah. You'll make mistakes. That's okay. If you don't make mistakes, you're actually not going to get it. You're not going to achieve anything. And that was the original idea from Dan, was fast, frequent iterations. And Eden starting off as that. And that's what, like 3 months ago now, 2.5 months ago. And it's not to say that what has been done has not been great, but it's definitely slowed down in iteration pace. People get comfortable. People get shot down like you did last night, Chris, where people just, they start questioning, are you even a fake person, Chris? Are you currently a robot behind? Like that kind of stuff just demotivates people, and it slows down the process. As difficult as it is, you kind of just need to ignore those people, just power through. But because it is difficult, and because it does affect people psychologically, mentally, it is difficult. You do let it get to you to a certain extent. Then some compensation or some type of motivation, whatever that may be, is incredibly powerful to kind of come in and compensate for that, or leverage that, or counter that. And perhaps that's where you guys need to ask Dan, hey, I need something. I'm working on your idea. I'm working on your baby. You need to help me out. What are you doing? What are you doing to secure funds? Dan is saying that he's talking to the VPs. He's talking to me, and I'm no longer VP. So maybe you guys need to pressure Dan more, and you guys need to then just do what you think is best, and you'll fall on your face, and it's okay. Because if you don't, nothing's going to get done. This is what you're trying to achieve.
I have talked with Chris many times. I can state here that Chris is not a robot.
I know Chris is
a real human, and he has good intention. Okay.
We apparently met in person in Toronto. So
we did. I remember it clearly.
Yeah, but I can state that in any channel if you want. So he has good intent. Very good intent.
There's a known trolls out there that it doesn't matter what you say or what you do, and they need to be essentially just removed from your vision or your room. But it is incredibly difficult not to let it get to you.
Yeah, I've got extreme. That didn't get to me whatsoever. I've got very thick skin.
Fast forward 6 months, fast forward a year, it's going to be incredibly difficult. And so from the get-go, from the onset, you need to put yourself in a position where you're able to succeed. And I think that right now, the hill is already so hard to climb. The hill is already big. You could take any type of advantage or any type of, help that you can get at the onset. And I think that part of it would come in the form of compensation. Part of it would be opening the other communities, letting them come in. It doesn't mean that they can participate in the first Eden, but at least let them register. Part of it would be perhaps setting the calls at times that are favorable, like 1 p.m. Eastern time. What are you going to get? You're going to get Americans. Yay! Good on you guys. That's awesome. There's 15 of you out there.
Yeah.
This call right now, Patrick, what time is it? Like 3 a.m. for you? 4 a.m. for you?
Yeah, you know that. I am in Switzerland.
Are you guys even considerate of other people around the world? Seriously,
I have proposed 15 UTC. Okay.
Yes, we are.
9 a.m.
We're considering
9 a.m. Eastern time or 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah,
that's what the global time is for people to be more inclusive. We know this.
Decision.
We've run through this.
That's why
we can do early ones.
That's why we have the AMAs at 10 a.m. Eastern.
But it's that kind of stuff where it really does go a long way to be more inclusive, to removing barriers. Yeah. Maybe the idea is that at some point there's going to be an entry fee for Eden. Don't do that on day one. That's silly. You can't even get 100 people right now. Get momentum first and then work towards. I've heard people say that it's harder to remove people after they've come in. Yes, it is going to do. Yes, you're going to let people in that will need to be kicked out. Deal with it. You're going to have to do that.
Hey, Yves, you mentioned about bringing in other communities, and I can see how you could start standing up different language groups. But were you suggesting that for the initial 1,000 that we have like a multilingual setup, or are you still like, do you see a way to go forward with elections like in a multilingual setup, or like, because it seems
that's extremely difficult. But
Yeah.
right now, what you guys have opted to do is not let them even join Eden as members unless they're English. We're not even talking about the election right now. We're only talking about them being able to get their NFT. So if you put a barrier that I can only get my NFT in 8 months, I might be gone in 8 months, or I might not care in 8 months. Why can't I get my NFT now and not be able to participate in the election, but at least get excited about when my election is going to come?
That's a very good point.
So in a WeChat right now, there are groups with hundreds and hundreds of people, actually active participants, way more than in English. And you're shutting out one of the largest communities that clearly, by token weight, the largest community. There's no questions asked.
How does
and the Koreans as well? Like Upbit right now has 120 million EOS.
How does the Korean community? We have 3 Korean members, I believe, currently in this group.
Han is like your influencer. Han is your. So you've got Han, you've got Creamer, you've got Devin.
Matt?
Those 3 people alone will be able to get you within a week more than 100. They will surpass what you have in Eden right now easily.
So why don't we do that then? Why
just give them the green light?
Who needs to do it? Dan? Like, why do they not have a green light? Why can't they do exactly what we're doing?
Because the current perception is that it's just like what Elias was saying. It's like a special club of,
let's break it.
Americans or Westerners. But that's the current idea. That's not. So the perception is that it is a very, special club, and there are very few people other than. And I'm very much generalizing, but it's a bunch of white guys.
Oh yeah.
It is not inclusive at all. There are no women. There are very few other ethnicities. There's very few people other than people that are of Caucasian descent. It is an extremely what's the word, like exclusive club right now. It is not inclusive at all. You're pushing people away that feel like they would have a voice or would want to participate, and they feel like they can't.
You think Dan's considered this?
Dan is not at all the person to be able to lead this type of thing at all. Okay. But we speak on a daily basis. This is not his thing at all. You've spoken about this before. Dan does not understand or very limited understanding of other cultures and other mindsets.
It's just to, I didn't say anything about, I'm in Michigan, but I actually thought it was more of BPs. Now that I'm in here, like, there's nobody that's a BP, other than you.
No, I'm not even a BP.
Yeah.
So yes.
So I thought it was even,
even more restrictive than that. Yeah. So like you've got I think Eden has an image issue for sure. No doubt about it. How do you change that? I think you actually just get more people to join. How do you get more people to join? That's what's really hard. Well, right now I think that there's a large enough or substantial enough group of people that would like to join, and they feel like they cannot join. Make it known that other communities can start joining. And I don't know who needs to make that decision. It is decentralized. Perhaps Dan needs to give the green light, or perhaps it's just people start joining, because all you need is just be an inviter and then witnesses, right? So perhaps you just coordinate with Han, Devin, Creamer. Let's start with the Korean community. There's tons of people.
Already starting. Yeah, they're going for it. I mean, that's happening. But yeah, the Chinese community is a little tougher nut to crack from here. And
you've got Myra. Myra was Brock's first invite.
I just talked to Myra the other day. Yeah, she's
And then you need to get the influencers, the people that will then be able to invite more people. But the process itself, I've gone through it a couple of times. Once you've gone through it, it's extremely simple, extremely fast. It's very, very efficient. But it's intimidating when you don't know what it's going to be like. and using tools that perhaps are not available for some people. I know that for some of our community members in South America or in Africa, even just getting on a Zoom call is extremely difficult. There's not enough bandwidth. It does not work. Mm-hmm. So that's not something that you'll be able to solve, but perhaps there's another way to get them to be part of the community. That's not just bringing them in a Telegram chat. Like a step towards Eden. I don't know if that's a thing, but a placeholder to eventually be in Eden.
Well, why not just do another mock election? There was no membership required for that. It was open. So why can't we should just have a Korean and a Chinese mock election?
You could. Nothing's
tried. It's just
they tried to do a Spanish mock election, but for whatever reason, it didn't quite
turn out.
It didn't reach completion, or it didn't even launch, because I know that there was a date for it.
I think
it didn't begin.
There wasn't enough people, right?
I was on it. There was about 10 people or something. What have you?
But a lot of people didn't know about it. Like, for instance, I think it was pretty Venezuelan centric, and obviously
I know something about Venezuela because Maurice Vanegas, I spoke with him also, so personally, and I was in Colombia from beginning of May until end of May. I was supposed to go in Venezuela. I have no time because problem in the family of my wife. But I was there, and I can tell something. Colombia or Venezuela, they cannot connect with the internet. It's not working at all. So sometimes you are in the obligation. I understand very well Maurice with the EOS microloan or EOS marketplace with the private key. I can understand because it's for the problem of the internet communication. And something that I can tell you, however, that they have problem with the internet communication, they have not waited on Eden to collaborate between them. And now that Eden is coming, that will materialize, Eden is materializing the communication as it should be on EOS. And he will capitalize, Maurice, he will capitalize on that to have a good communication between the Venezuelan people. They are already a community. So Eden is just for them, the Irish on the cake, if I speak well. And in Colombia also, because they are in the shit, sorry to say, they are in the shit, and they have to find solution each and every day, not as us here in Switzerland or in Canada, where all is more easier. We are complaining sometimes for bullshit, but there they have to find solution each and every day. So Eden for them is just formality, and after that for Africa, problem also from internet communication, they will organize them. So and this democracy from democracy, Eden is democracies of democracy. So you have the right to be your own Eden. In each country, you can have your Eden. In Switzerland, I don't know. I don't run for Switzerland. I run for the world. But in other part of the world, they have the capacity to do that. However, that the internet is not working very well. So it's not about internet. It's about if you want to do something. If you want to do something, and if you want to do something, you don't care to be in the night at 4:30 or 5. If you are eager to go, you will go.
So the lowest hanging fruit on this is probably Han and Korea.
I would say that's probably your highest return on investment to get numbers. Yeah. Once you have numbers, if for example, when you went on a show, Chris or Brandon, you said, we've got 500 people now, significantly different than we're struggling to get 100 after a couple months. The perception will change if you can just get numbers. Right now, it's less of a quality over quantity. I think you're at the part where you just need quantity in order to be able to find quality within there.
But it's also the case that it's going to grow faster with larger numbers because, there's more people available to do the invites and there's more people that know more people. So I think it's been a slow.
That's assuming that there's an unlimited supply of people, which we know is not necessarily the case in EOS.
Right.
And as time goes by and the rest of the project outpace EOS, sure, there's some hardcore fans, like Patrick, you say, the majority of people will not stay up to 4 a.m. That is not, I think, what should be expected or what can be expected of the average person.
Patrick's a true EOS bull.
So if you're catering to perhaps more the normal user, I think that your highest return on investment right now would be to somehow include Koreans to be able to join. And a lot of Koreans will be able to speak English as well. They might not participate as much, but they could also participate in the mock election. The mock election, although anybody could join, was very much focused on, again, English speakers. Even if you had, so the group that I was in, the first one, when we were 3, before the 4th person joined kind of halfway, one of the 3 was from Korea, and he straight up said, like, my English is not great enough to be able to participate actively during this call, but I can understand, and I'll vote, and I'll listen. So nothing stopping from even the mock election from having people that might not, either way, it's a mock election, doesn't really matter. You're just trying to showcase the process, trying to showcase numbers, trying to get momentum, which right now, I would say you don't have.
Yeah, so it's totally all fair stuff. I think my big takeaway, that's something we can try to make happen, is talk to Han and see if he wants to do a test election in Korea.
Why not join both? That's
do
what I
both.
don't understand of like fractaling off the communities this early.
Because not everyone can speak the same language.
There's 20 people in all of EOS, and you're trying to break them down in 10 groups.
It's just gonna be hard.
I'm exaggerating, but that is the hard, cold truth. There's nobody left. Stop fragmenting them.
Yeah, but the game won't work if you can't talk. Like, I don't know how we're going to reach consensus on an idea if I don't know what they're saying. I don't speak Korean.
It's a mock election.
So it doesn't matter.
The purpose of the mock election can be different than I think what you're trying, and this is just my opinion, you need to showcase that the process itself, that the people interested, I think even more basic than that the amount of people that are still interested and alive in EOS that are real people is greater than what you have right now. So right now you have 84 people, but even if we look at how many will join the mock election, it will likely be lower than that. Some people that join the first one will not join the second one, and not all 84 will join.
That's fantastic.
So it would be
exactly
really bad if you got
of the
less people than last time to join the first election. That would be really, really bad from a perception point of view.
Yeah.
Don't disagree, but I just don't know how we could potentially have an election with people who don't speak the same language. I just don't understand.
Just test it out. Just test it out. What are you going to lose? What currently do you have that you can lose? You've got nothing to lose.
I mean, you wouldn't reach consensus. I don't know what you're saying. Like, I'll just start speaking in gibberish, and then we'll see if we can make sense of my idea, so you can vote for me. It can't work. You have to be able to communicate. It's the whole point.
I
think there's enough. There's
Yeah,
enough.
we have to go forward,
There's enough English
step by step.
Koreans to pull this off, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, and then there's like you've said, there's people that understand English but can't speak so well that can vote. And
you also assume that those people will want to participate. They might just want to join to vote but not run for election.
Right.
You might, by default, still be the only person in the group that actually wants to proceed, but you still need to sell your ideas to 3 others that need to give you the green light.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've erred on the side of like wanting to be like extremely inclusive from day one, so I'm pretty on board with everything you're saying. But getting to that point might be a little tricky. But yeah, I think
I'm saying that the exclusivity is removing people. Elias is going even a step further. He thought that within that group of exclusive people, there was even more exclusive people, like that it was exclusive squared.
Yeah.
In order to be able to break down that perception, I think you need to let it open.
Who said that?
Elias.
Who said that will be exclusive? Who said that?
Nobody needs to say it. That is the perception, whether or not you said it or whether or not you agree. That is even Elias said that was his perception as well.
I can totally see it. Yeah, I mean, for sure, of course.
Yeah. Well, Elias, you were talking about how just finding that website was pretty challenging.
Yep. And, I saw US community, some forums, some people inviting others. And I'm like, how do you get invited? Right? And all right, it's just for BP, some people that know each other.
Yeah.
And
Eden on OS, EdenOS.org is only in English. You've got Han. There's no reason why it's not in Korean as well. Even though it doesn't imply that they would be able to participate in the real first election. That could still be the same thing. But for your mock elections and for the inauguration process and for obtaining of materials and getting people psyched about it, that could happen concurrently.
Chris, will you make a note that we need to focus on translations for the website? I don't know, like where that's at, if anyone's given it any thought, but that's definitely a problem. It should be for sure in Korean and Chinese and Spanish.
Yeah, as Chris just said, Google Translate. Yeah, even if it's shitty translation, it's more than nothing.
Yeah.
It shows that you actually took the time to at least try to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So you are thinking that if you are going on eoscommunity.org, or if you are going on edeneos.org, or if you are going in Notions also, there is Notions, there is not accuracy in what is Eden, and that could be bad interpreted, and perception could be not good. As you said, Joshua, perception is very important about the first stage of the branding. You say that now. Perception is the first stage of the branding. So
yeah, when someone first learns about something or becomes aware of it, they have a perception, and like buying a product or a service. And then when they buy that product or service, they're then going to decide if what they thought that thing was matches up to it. So it kind of goes on to like the next stage of branding. And the longer that an organization exists, the more layers of branding that exists, including training the members and the affiliates and whatever to how they represent things to other people and building systems in place and that kind of a thing. And right now, there seems to be a problem with people even being able to find, the website, the Notion, all that kind of stuff. It just hasn't been put together. And the narrative in EOS is so horrible right now that bringing a newcomer into it is almost detrimental a little bit, and trying to salvage what's there is, there's a lot of work to be done if that's actually going to happen. So there is like a PR branding awareness perception crisis at the moment that needs to be fixed.
What I try to do myself and other members in this community that are very passionate and that they love EOS, we are the true believer of EOS. We want to explain correctly what it is EOS. We want to explain correctly what is EOS.io, what is Eden, the things behind the word. Because you hear a word or a sentence, and sometimes you just repeat the narrative without to understand really what does it mean. So it is all what is about these meetups, workshops. That's all about that. And EOS Nation with the hot sauce doing that, the number is 106 today, hot sauce. They are doing that since a long time. This article to explain the things with an eye, objective, not too much subjective. However, they are a BP, it's clear, but they have this educational mindset, and I love that EOS Nation for that. And I am not focused on the people, I am focused on the values behind the ecosystem. And EOS Nation is a fantastic ecosystem for that. And so that's sorry to come back on that, but if we want to have a better perception of Eden, we have to have first a better perception of EOS, because Eden is for EOS at the moment. It's not for something else. We speak about EOS. We have to do the version 0.1, as you said, Mark. And we have to use English for the moment. Okay, that's fine. But we have not to be perfect, and we have not to think about 1,000 members. That's totally illusoire. That's totally a dream. If we are already 200 people, on July 17, that would be fantastic. And we have to go step by step. We can do failure, it's normal. We can be not perfect with the marketing sometimes, okay. We have to market, we have to do marketing already a little. We have to do marketing already, but not fully, because we have to wait the momentum when it is the time to do the big marketing. And I think that's the problem of every innovative company, of innovative ecosystem. And yeah, finish.
Is there a reason why the next mock election is in a month from now? Was that date chosen for particular? Is there a particular importance or significance to that date?
It's my birthday.
Well, yes. Other than that, yes, I recall. Yes.
You deserve winning. No, I don't know personally. It was just what Dom.
Is it because there's some development that's still like, will there be new features that are going to be deployed by then, leveraged for that particular election? Was it to give ample time between elections? Was it the 17th last time and I just don't recall and it's 3 months later?
I don't think anyone here knows the answer to that question, Yves.
Okay. Who chose that date?
I heard it from Dominic, who was closest to the.
Is there a reason why Dominic is not on this call? That's another question.
He said he couldn't make Saturdays, so
Okay.
So these calls exist because Dominic. This is another total ad hoc thing, right? It was randomly through discussion. Let's do some random video calls, get to know each other. That was it. Dominic said, "Hey, why don't we do this more collaboratively, and we could try to make it as to build up some momentum and engagement for the next mock election." Okay, cool. So that turned into Monday night open mic, Thursday podcast, Saturday webinar. I was like, so it was just the two of us. It's like, okay, let's do it together then. That sounds great. Like he's more in charge of trying to get the next election figured out. So that's why it worked out this way. And it just turns out I was keen, very keen, and willing to do all three, including this one, which he wasn't able to. So that's why.
I wonder if it would be possible to spend energy over the next, let's say if the 17th is an anchor date, spend time over the next month to increase the numbers, a reasonable target. So 1,000 is not reasonable. If you better, lower expectations, meet those expectations, even surpass them would be better. Perhaps it's 150 people by July 17th, but you focus on the ROI of the Korean community and perhaps run 2 elections at the same time. But one is the Koreans and one is the English folks or something like that. So that when you do your, not communication, but I guess your marketing afterwards, you just combine both numbers. So it looks like it was more people, because in fact it is more people, but you just kind of rally people at the same time.
We got to find out.
How many people are registered for the 17 at the moment?
This problem.
How many people?
I'd like to find out, because obviously we're scraping about, at least I'm up to 2 to 3 AMA questions for Monday. It will just toss these out and say, hey, by the way, why so long? It's a month from now. Hey, is membership numbers a problem? Because I'd like to hear what the definitive leader and the controller of this and the lead, like the Eden Satoshi, we call it, Dan Larimer has to say about bootstrapping it on the level that we're talking about, Yves, because I'd like to agree with you, Yves, but on the other hand, I'd like to hear, well, what's the plan? So I don't know if membership is an issue as much as you've said, but I trust your gut. And so
I'll tell you that it's an issue, because if you don't have numbers, you don't have funding. That is a significant issue. But the VPs will not give 100 people 2.5 million EOS. That is not happening. Well, it is not happening. There's no question about that. You're dreaming if you think that that's going to happen. Yeah, there's not enough momentum. So numbers are an issue.
What you're saying, but that's not my point. My point is, you start slow, definitively, according to the plan. The originator says, we don't care about the membership piece. It's about getting quality, bootstrapping this thing. The numbers will come.
You're assuming that there are people left in EOS. The reality is there's nobody left in EOS. Very few people. Brandon is laughing because he knows that it's true. There are very few people left. I agree with you that if you have the luxury of having 10,000 people out there that are just waiting and they're all of quality and you just need to give it some time, there aren't 10,000 people up there. There's maybe 150 people up there.
Who's holding up the market cap then? If there's not that many, is there like 7 whales and they're just 100 millionaires that are holding up the price of EOS? Because the community can't be that small. Someone's got to be holding
the community is incredibly small and the EOS is highly concentrated. Yes, extremely concentrated. And over the bear market, over the last 3 years, it has concentrated even more. Somebody's buying the EOS that you're selling, yes, and they're averaging out their price and they're just accumulating more, correct.
Okay.
They're just the largest market makers and they're just absorbing. So maybe 10,000 EOS to you is a lot, but somebody who's got 12 million EOS, 10,000 EOS is just a drop in the bucket. And that's 2% of their net assets. It doesn't really matter. They're just averaging it out. Might as well just get bigger. There are very, very few people left out there.
But it's not only about funding and the height of the pot. It's also the motivation of the people to go in that. So July 17 is a trial election. It's the version alpha or beta, how you want to call it, to name it. Okay. So, and we will see if really the people are motivated to come. And if we have already 100 people there for the July 17, that would be a good number. Also, if it is 50, for me, I am happy with that. Maybe others not, but that would show if it is possible. Because Chris did that in with 64 people the last time and 4 rounds. So this now we can expect something better. So I am confident on that.
Well, yeah, he's making a good point. I mean, hey, if there's that few people in EOS, then I guess we need to make an Eden fork, because I mean, if we're that doomed, we might as well just start over with a new consensus algorithm and see how it goes.
Yeah, Dan has not created with in mind that there will be directly 1,000 people. He has put this bar, but he is aware that it is not possible. And if he could lead this Eden, if he had time, he has no time. If he had time, he will do that perfectly, no doubt.
Yeah, what's up?
He's behind the true, because more equal true animal. So that's the philosophy behind Eden. So he has made his job, and now he leave that to us to lead that. So that's enough. That's fair enough.
Well, I say we get the guys in Korea to do it. I mean, do at least a mock election. At a minimum, they could do exactly what we did in the English one. If their community's that big, which it sounds like it is, why don't they just do exactly what I mean, it's not perfect, but at least it's something, and it would help.
Yeah.
You could do it at the same time.
Yeah.
The idea is that you could run the 2 elections. You could run a mock election in Korea on the 17th, a mock election in the West on the 17th. They're both running in parallel. Mm-hmm. If you've got concerns about language for the mock election, but at least you'd be able to get them in to sign up as members. The momentum will help. And then yes, funding is not all end all, but if you don't have funding, and if people don't think that if they invest their time in something, that perhaps there's something at the end, we see that it clearly is a barrier for a lot of people. It doesn't mean that the people are there for that reason, but it does help. And because we've got so few people, any little piece of help that we can get on our side will go a long way. We don't have the luxury to add barriers at this point. We need to be more inclusive, and that inclusivity can come in many different forms and factors right now. And take what I say with a grain of salt. I mean, perhaps this is the plan, and you keep going the way that you're doing, and you think that you're doing great, and it's fine the way it is. That's okay too.
It's ad hoc, man. There is no plan. I mean, I think I have no plan. I fucking randomly won this thing, and I'm just doing something now. There's no plan.
And Dan doesn't know everything either. So if you ask Dan, what's your plan for this? Well, he's going to think about it at that time, maybe come up with something. But there's nothing wrong from also saying, hey,
that's a problem.
We're going to try this out.
Yeah, we're
just going to do it.
Starting with, well, Dan needs, it's his baby. He needs to hand the keys to somebody who's willing. He needs to deliberately and well known.
Does Dan need to give you the Koreans permission to get on a Zoom call on the 17th? Seriously?
No.
Like Dan, the Koreans need the blessing to form a no, just do it.
It's already happening.
Do it.
Really,
Yeah, that's not what I mean, but yeah, okay.
really, all we need to do is talk to Han and say, hey, why don't I bet you can get more members than us by July 17th. What do you give it a shot? Like,
make it a competition. Perhaps that's the thing. Maybe it's like, you know what, we've got 2,000 EOS for ours, but if you can get more members on yours, we'll actually give our 2,000 to yours.
Just split it. Why not just split the pie? I mean, we held one with 1,000 EOS prize. We've got enough to split it to do equal. Like, why does it need to be two? It doesn't.
Well, who's funding this 2,000 EOS? Is it the membership dues that have been accumulated so far?
Dan, I think. I don't know.
Maybe ask Dan, dude. Did you want to give 4,000 and whoever's got the biggest one doubles it up? Like, I don't know. Like, be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if so, one of the decisions is getting members the real priority? And if so, everything I'm hearing, get rid of all the barriers, right, to getting members.
I think that getting members is one of the priorities. I think at this time, you guys need to be firing on on as many cylinders as possible.
Yeah, I think, there's a time for everything. I'm not sure what other priorities there are right now. To get a decent number of members, and you guys know this stuff better, but the 1,000 number, what else is there, right? To test this idea, this experiment out. And if not,
and EOS has never been best than now, to be honest. That's the better momentum that I have never seen. We are bullish. We thought bullish global. That's perfect. We are already bullish. So, nice. And we have not to do that in parallel. That will be, from my opinion, that will be a big mistake, because we have to see the result of the July 17. That's step by step going. It's like a project, is a project management. We have to see July 17 how it goes. We can change, improve after that, make some correction, be better, be improving. And when we are coming to the real thing, the real big thing, we will be ready for that. So going in parallel, just desperate wife. Sorry, that's totally desesperating. It's doing the thing without thinking and to be totally irrational. We have to be rational. So we have to do the things step by step. That's my opinion. Okay? Never be stressed. Otherwise, if we are only the numbers in mind and the competition in mind, and not about collaboration and the rest, what we are doing here, it's not a competition. That's not a competition. That's nothing to do with that. That's synergies. That's nothing to do with the competition.
Guys, I'm gonna sign off for the night, but good talk, and thanks for jumping in, Eve, and sharing some food for thought. So we'll see if we can get going.
Are you at a campfire right now, Brandon? I see the flicker in your face.
I'm sitting next to a fire. Yes.
Lovely.
I won't.
Solstice plus fire. Nice.
In his yurt, he's got a fire in his yurt.
I'm not in a yurt, but I wish I was in a yurt. That'd be.
I know a yurt's pretty awesome. Like it's not so.
Since when is that an insult?
All right, I'm gonna go as well. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Good night, y'all.
Okay. See ya.
Night.
Well, lots of food for thought.
Yeah. So one thing.
That was boring.
It's because it's
discourage you.
You need some sleep.
Discourage you. At the end, when Eve was coming, I said
this is being recorded, so don't be too vicious in your late night sleep here, because you're probably sleep deprived. So
Well, egal. I have already said a lot of things that I should never say. but I don't care. I have the balls. So, yeah.
Thanks, Patrick. Elliot, what were you going to say?
What?
No, go ahead, Patrick. So yeah, I was gonna say about the PM, the project manager. It doesn't have to be, I don't know. It's a lot of burden, right? So hopefully it could be divided into jobs to be done. I like that, Mark. You said you're gonna do the calendar stuff. I don't know who that PM person is, but jobs to be done too. That's another.
We have to continue the road. We have to be resilient, reliable, and fucking strong in here and in the art also. First in the art, then here. Otherwise, we will never do something. And we are the only few people that are believing with Chris, with Mark, with Joshua, with you, Elias, and Dan Magnus, Chris, okay, all the guys. So we have to continue the things. And we will win, not because we have to win, because we deserve to win. That's different.
Yeah, so, I think the experiment is interesting.
It's an experiment. EOS is an experiment.
It's interesting, and the draw is neutral. There's not a huge bias. I don't feel the pressure and the.
There is no pressure.
I don't feel the pressure and the desperation.
Yeah.
I don't feel, when I put, okay, so when we move forward, it can be easy. This is the heart of the theory. That is that the value comes from kind of within. There's low inertia. The organization creates a discernible product increase.
Yeah.
So we're all waiting to see, okay, well, how's this going to work? And membership count, I don't really wholeheartedly disagree with Yves. I respect him so much.
Yeah, also, yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, sure, listen and everything. I wouldn't pull the plug. I wouldn't say this is a failure at all. I definitely disagree, but he was suggesting it was a failure. Okay, listen. I'm a little discouraged at this, or I'm a little curious about this 1 month until the next demo. Does Dan and does the fellow running the Eden on EOS chat room, Dominic, do they feel that this is a failure? I don't think so, but okay. I do want to know why 1 month, or is there some kind of quirksome pressure or failure that we're not aware of? Because I'd like a demo election in about 2 weeks, if not a real election. What's the failure point? I don't understand it well enough to see what they know.
You can do what you want. There will be always someone to say that we do something wrong. Always. We can do that the 17th of July. We can do that in Tombouctou. There will be always a failure. There will be always a failure for those guys. So we just have to cut the noise and doing what we think is good, and think a little bit with our mind.
EOS as our economy. That's simple as that. The economy is already built. We don't have to worry about that, And as an Eden's bigger than EOS is the point.
For me, Eden is the materialization of this everyone open society. Okay, it's open to everyone to go in Eden. You don't have to be invited. You can go in Eden because the 17th of July, you can go because you want to go. And we don't have to expect anything of anyone. If someone has good intention, he wants to do something good, he can do like me, a bastard sometimes, I speak too much, okay? But if you have good intent in your art, whatever how you speak, but if you have a good intent in your art, you will be welcome, because you can. I prefer someone that says the things that wait 3 years to say at the end that he is no more here, or he is no more on the boat, when he was all doing that very, very intensive. And one day he left. So I speak from, that could be anyone into the community that do that. And that's for me, it's bad reputation, and it's a bad trust, because trust, it's intent testifying. After that, you have to deliver something. So if you are just intent testifying and you don't deliver, there is no seeing is believing. That's need a SIB. Seeing is believing. You need to see what is doing, what we are doing. And now we see, we have Eden, we go step by step. Congrats, man. Congrats. I am happy. Champagne. Why we are not champagne now? Champagne. Yeah. We have to be very strong. Go Eden. Go Eden. We are
let it go its route, you know. Let it go its route. It may fail.
There will be always failure. Always. In any innovative company, there is always fail better, try, fail better, and succeed.
Yeah, it's the funding piece, I think, is what I took away from.
Yeah, but he speak only from money.
Well, no,
only from money.
Unfortunately, yeah, no, I get it. It's not about money, and trust me, I've said it many times that I'm not in this for money personally, and I'm not interested in Eden just because I think it's going to make money. Like I see bigger purposes, right? So that's my intention. But regardless, I know the only way we're going to get Eden to spread is by making it work really well in EOS. I think we all agree with that. Fundamentally, there's other ways to get it out there, but this is certainly one effective way. And I think Yves's point is really good. Like, if we want people to participate, there needs to be a reasonable prize pool. If we want to improve EOS, which is the ultimate goal most immediately, we're not doing that for, like, we need money to pay people. We need money for projects to get built. That's the point of this. So how do we get the money, right? And his point, which I think is a good one, that's not going to happen unless we get more people involved. That's perfectly fair. I fully
it's fair. It's fair.
Disagree with that. So we do need to get people involved. We do need to feel slightly. So the timing maybe, but if we're too slow, we lose momentum, and people might get bored of this. And
but let's continue. Let's continue. We continue, and
it does. But the other thing, even we do the mock elections, those aren't funded from thin air. Like, that's still a Dan thing. So
it's a Dan thing. The 70. Okay, it's a trial.
How long is he going to fund these? I mean, I don't know how rich he is. I read in Forbes he's a $600 million man, but that might not be true, right? So, I mean, how long is the guy going to fund these things?
And at this point, what we have to lose to do that? Nothing. All is going bad in this world. So all is going in the wrong direction. So what we have to lose?
I've heard Dan say that membership, numbers increasing is not a priority. Absolutely not a priority. So the idea of
it needs to be consideration, though.
So the idea of there being pressure right now at the 100, I think is misinformed.
Yeah, I don't disagree that so priorities are relative, right? I mean, you can have multiple priorities. It's just how you rank them. So membership numbers is a priority. It's just perhaps not as high as other priorities. And so that's where I think Yves is coming from. And, being in the world of consensus building, we have to take a little piece from everyone's idea and mound it into one big thing. And so that's a point. We all have good points. It's right. So how do we make a ball that's solid, and then we move forward? I sent a message to Han. I PM'd him. I've let him know I PM'd him, and I've asked him if he wants to do a mock election in Korea. Maybe we split the pot. I don't know if we can. I'll ask. I mean, whatever, right? The shit's obvious. We've all come to the realization here, no one's really in charge. So if that's the case, then let's just put forward ideas to people who control something, and go from there.
Yeah, I think Dominic is a guy who's got the hands on the ability to actually pull an election off, right? Don't you literally need his buy-in?
He's the one who's been tasked with running the next mock election. But that's it, as far as I know. Like, I don't know how formal, and I don't know for sure. This is speculation, but I don't, based on what Yves was just saying, also that's fed my information here, but I don't think there's necessarily a big plan. Like, the project manager idea, That's a good point. Like I used to work in operations, and I would run fields of teams and get things done and set up processes and build procedures. And a bunch of cats doing work, you get shit, like nothing gets done. People suck. Not that they suck individually, but they just suck to get, if they're not organized, they're not effective. You need an ability to like create process and it's like the 1 + 1 = 3. That only works when everyone's pushing in the same direction. So right now we're all, how do we help? What are we doing? It was why I started this call with trying to make a list of some, like, what do we need to do? Like, how do we orient ourselves in the same direction? I think, Josh, you've spoken to that too. Like, we're all sort of getting this. It's just how do we materialize that into something? And unfortunately, that comes with some sort of top-down decision maker. And right now, Dan is that guy. I mean, Dan is the dude who needs to basically either say, listen, I don't have the capacity right now to fully run this, so this is the person who's going to run it. I'll pop in 3 times a month to answer questions and be the thought leader. That's perfectly reasonable and in fact makes a lot of sense. But he's not the operations leader. I never worked with Dan.
But
I have no idea if Dan is an operations guy. I don't know. But I don't think everyone is an operations guy. I was a director of operations. It's what I did. And I know that not everyone is necessarily good at that.
No. Dan is a good CTO. He's a good CTO, but he has no time. I am also a CTO of my 2 company, but I have no time. I am involved 100% in EOS each and every day, plus my job. So I could not manage a project manager, and I would be a liar if I tell that I will do that because I have no time. But I have the capacity.
Right.
And Dan also has the capacity, but now who will be in charge to be a project manager for Eden, doing the tables, the timeline, and all? That's the question.
And
because if the guys say yes,
do we even need that?
He has to do.
Do we need that? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, my opinion is I think we're more efficient if we have that. Josh, Mark, Elias, guys who are just listening in, Chris.
Well, like Mark's got the project list, and the project list is things based on EOS mainnet and where people's interest is and all of that. And the purpose of Eden is basically getting stuff done. So there has to be organization of projects, but more than just projects, there has to be collaboration and productivity, and there's a lot of elements to it. There's a whole front end and a back end system to any type of organization. Front end being kind of like members and users and stuff, their experience, and then back end being like administrative related things and like Slack and ClickUp and those kind of things that have gone on the chat a little bit today. That's all like back end user interfaces, which also need systems and processes and all that kind of stuff. And things are a little bit in limbo. I think if we keep moving, we'll get around it. It's a little bit unrelated. It kind of came up a little bit today, but I'd like to make sure that somehow this gets addressed, maybe in some topic of conversation. I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of emphasis on bootstrapping and having viable value propositions and business models. And there seems to be more emphasis on funding. And I mean, if you got such a great project, like how much money can you possibly need to get out there and make it happen and demonstrate that it even deserves any funding? I hope Eden doesn't perpetuate complacency of being dependent on funds without having some kind of a viable business model. You can only be in stage 0 for so long. And Eden needs a way to score, things that are going 0 to 1 and things that are going 1 to n, and evaluate them and assess them and all that kind of stuff. And I've been thinking a lot about that with EOS Starter, and basically that's incubator accelerator type of activity. To me, an incubator is something going from 0 to 1, and an accelerator is something going from 1 to n.
1 to n, yeah.
Yeah, it's already working. You just want to improve it and iterate it. And I think if we go through the process, it's all going to work itself out. But I'm a little bit alarmed that the community is so dependent on, or the voices, the loud voices. And I'm not talking about anyone here. I'm just saying my sense in the community as someone who's been observing and lurking for a long time, but not really very active or very immersed in trying to understand the sentiment and what's going on. There's so much dependent on external funding. It's very alarming.
You know what? Something that is different between Eden, Pomelo, and Startios. Eden is open to everyone. So like it is open to everyone, and that could be long-term goals, public goods that you want to put on the blockchain. You have to put public goods to do something public for the community. That could be all what you want. There is no clear definition. On Startios, the things are clear. It is for entrepreneurs, you have coaching, you have good advice, you go from 0 to 1, and when you have reached the 1, you can go to the N. That's the innovative mindset. It's the entrepreneurial mindset. So a lot of people that are new entrepreneur or already long-time entrepreneur, and they want to do a startup today, going with Startios on EOS, that's just a good point. Pomelo, perfect also because you have a smart objective. Specific, measurable, ambition, realistic, and in time, smart. Because you want to create something that goes from here until here, a quadrant. So you need funds just to do that. But in Eden, that could be very open. And when the things are going open, this is difficult to canalize. So we need a structure. You said that now, yeah? We need a structure, yes, yeah. We need a structure, but we have the tool to do this structure, but it's clear we need a project leader, a project manager, how you want to call it, maybe two guys, or to have a backup in case that one is sick, the other one can take the things. So we need that for Eden. It's not because it is open that we don't need a structure and all that, but that's not so easygoing. But where we are now, we are in trial. So for the 17th of July, we are, I think, in a good place. And if Dan was here now, maybe he would say, I don't know, but he could say, we have the smart contract ready for Eden OS. We have the GitHub, the smart contract is working, okay. We have the Ricardian contract for that, perfect, okay, nice. And we have all the tools, we have built all the things. Now we will see what is the real intent of the people. If on July 17, there are 50 people, as I said, or 30, I don't know, I would be already happy to see if there are 64 members like the mock election of Chris, or if we have 80, okay, why not? But not think about the number, because if we are thinking about the number, we are pushing ourselves in a stress, because we think always about the numbers, and we are not doing the things step as it should be, and we think only about numbers. I don't know if.
Yeah, that's right, Patrick. And you'll hear that out of the guy that really is starting this up. I mean, you gotta just defer to him.
And, but that's my perception. Someone else think differently.
So, Chris, you would get buy-in from Dan Larimer, and Dom would accommodate the Korean folks. All Dan's going to do is shrug his shoulders and say, "Sure, you're the community. Do whatever they want. They could create an Eden immediately. The Spanish tried to do it, you know."
You know what? In 2010, 2006, there was no horizontalization. We have no blockchain as now. We have only verticalization by business sector. You can do your platform by business sector, but you have not the decentralization as today with the EOS blockchain. And when you said to someone, we have to do a meeting, you have Outlook? Yes, I have Outlook. You know how to use Outlook? No, I don't know how to use Outlook. Okay, so the people have the tool, but they not use the tools. So to do meetings, to do project management, all this stuff, if you are not using the technology, and also because you want to do the things, that should be the both thing. You have the tools, but you have to do, you have to be also ready to do. because the tools we have, but now really the people are interested to do that. So think 2 people interested about to do project management into this community. Maybe there are some people, they will say, but why we have to do that now and not we have made that already before? And they will only criticize. That's the problem. If they are constrained and very negative mindset, or we find the people really interested. I think Chris could be a good project manager, but he has no time. No, he has time.
I do have time, ironically. I mean, in fairness, I do. But
you know what? I quit my job and I invest only in EOS.
What, me? I was fired. I
myself.
Oh, you did that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, no.
Because I do that already.
I didn't choose to.
So I can't keep my. The problem is the money. Also, we have to pay the bills. Not Bill Gates. The
Tell
bills.
that to my wife.
Okay.
I'm so happy Bill Gates isn't in this community.
5.
He may not do well. He'd have to get consensus. I don't know. He'd have a hard time convincing me of anything. What about you guys?
But right now, I think Eden right now is kind of feels like it's on hold until July 17th. Building community members and like I'm talking about from my perspective, I'm just shelving it and until it's just building slowly. It was building really quick, and now on the back end, I think I can only imagine they're getting information and seeing this as it unfolds in its early stage, continuing to develop like the code. I don't follow the code, but I think there's an effort in coding for this 17th of July, where
there is effort for the 17th of July. There are things done.
They need time to put this process on chain. I think that's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
I'd like to confirm on Monday, hey, what's the month hold up? Okay, they're building the next election is going to be fancier than the first one.
So if I hear you well, for the 17th of July, we are ready.
So
for the trial.
17th is a real election, or
no? It's a trial. It's a trial.
If it's money involved, though, why is it? What does trial mean?
There is 2,000 EOS, more than Chris has had in the first mock election. He has 1,000. Now it's 2,000. Then the lower round, they have 100. You correct me if I am wrong. 100 EOS each, and after that you go into the lower levels, and you have also some EOS. So that's a good incentivized mechanism in order that the people join a trial election, because there is already some reward, some price, yeah. But it's not the real election. It's not the real big thing. It's the trial election. It's different. Yeah.
So yeah, the way I see
we are ready for that. We are ready. We make a lot of pressure with the numbers. That's
the numbers. I did say if the numbers is a big thing, then if that's the main goal,
if the numbers are the big things, you will never do something.
Yeah.
And we want to achieve what? We want to see if it works. And July 17 is the beta version, because the first time that was the alpha, now that will be the beta, and after that we can maybe change our point of view and to improve if something was not working as expected, and to run in parallel the 17th of July, the test trial, plus the real big thing in parallel, that would be totally irrational or not working very well with your brain. That would be I don't know, because in project management, in IT, you will never go in production before to do first the how did you say, the user acceptance test, the UAT. And for me, the July 17 is a kind of UAT, user acceptance test, to see if it works. I don't know. I speak from a point of view IT. You have to keep the data governance, IT data governance. And there is not only governance on the blockchain, there is also governance in a company, governance, IT data governance that exists since a long time. So a good project manager would say, first we go with the July 17. We have the tools ready for that. Okay, it's maybe not perfect yet, the communication, all this stuff. We will improve that. And as said Chris at the beginning, when I was a little bit crazy, he said, no, you're right. I love you, man. So he said, we need to have, to not worry about how it is now. We know that it is not perfect. We have just to go on the little piece that we just have an influence on. Okay, the things are not perfect, but you just have to go. And the video on the channel of Mark, okay, good. And other action here, perfect. Yeah.
Hey guys,
What I say?
because I like to get things done really quickly. I'm gonna talk to Han in 5 minutes. So I've set up an arrangement. We're gonna meet. So we talk about something and then we just do it. That's how Eden works. So I'm gonna hop off this call so I can be available to talk to him, and I'm gonna see if we can do exactly what we just talked about. Do a mock election in Korea.
Good job, Chris. I like that Eves can be a bit of an inspiration because there's a lot of energy. Obviously, it opened us all up. So I like what you're doing. Bring some stuff to that, and hey, look forward to that narrative. I wonder how the Korean piece goes.
Well, you know what it is too. It's like you're stuck in this. Is it okay to overstep? I'm especially sensitive to this idea where I've already felt some people give me some shit because who the fuck are you? Like, where'd you come from? Literally, that's been asked to me a few times. So like, I'm sensitive to how much do I really want to. I'm gonna just grab this bitch by the horns and do stuff. So I don't want to be too overbearing, right? I'm trying to play that. I don't want to be that guy. Like I don't want to be. It wasn't my intention, and so I don't want to just make it look like that was my intention. If I become too aggressive, then it's like this is just another jackass who's trying to take over and be in charge. So I'm really sensitive to how far I go. So that's where I'm at. I don't know. But whatever. In this case, Yves had a good point, and I messaged Han. He messaged me back, so we're gonna talk. But anyway, it's hard, eh? You don't want to be an asshole and look like you're. So I don't know. There's probably no good way to win. If you don't do enough, things don't get done. You do too much, maybe you're dead.
Well, I think the opposite, really. Truthfully, I think you can't lose. And I say go forward, and I'll be tracking it. It's interesting. Let it be a.
Han's calling me now. So
okay.
I'm gonna. You guys can stay talking. I'm just gonna quit the recording. Okay.
Sure.
Bye, guys.